Greg, when's your studio going to be ready?
Oh, that's so dirty. Oh, that's so dirty. Oh, you're a jerk. Probably going to be the outtake. What's going on, everybody? It's Greg back again this week with a review of the 2017 MacBook Pro. Now, you might remember the 2016 that we reviewed almost a month ago. So we were able to get our hands on a 2017, which we have right here. Right away, you can see the exterior is the still same gorgeous space gray. It's the aluminum unibody design. Weighs in at about 4.02 pounds, which is the same as the 2016. And it's just over ½ inch thick at 0.61 inches.
That's a lot like mine, I think.
Correct. It is very similar to the 2016. Thank you, Scott, for pointing that out. It is still lighter than the MacBook Air, and it features the full keyboard, which is still okay to type on. They did redesign the butterfly mechanism, so it is less angry sounding to type on. So instead of sounding like you're typing the world's angriest email, it's like the 4th or 5th angriest. It's not my favorite to type on, but it definitely gets the job done. The Force Touch trackpad is still there.
That's a lot like mine. It looks a lot like mine.
You are correct, Scott. Still, it is basically the same thing as the 2016. Thank you for pointing that out. Peanut Gallery. It still features the same multi-touch functionality. You can still do things like the pinch to zoom. There's the multi-depth sensor where you click down a little bit to drag and drop a file, or push down a little bit further to get contextual information such as properties of the file. Again, also not my favorite, much like the keyboard. The touch bar is back, which is one of my favorite features. But there's no
2016 has a touch bar too.
Yes, it does. It sure does, doesn't it, Scott? That's really helpful. I really wish that Apple would kind of include some additional integrations with other applications. I'm not really sure what that would look like, but I'm also kind of tempted to look at what it would take to develop maybe some additional plugins for like Scott and I when we do our live stream. But it's probably the most compelling feature on the 2016 Scott and the 2017 version of the MacBook Pro. Next to the touch bar, of course, is the Touch ID button, which allows you to do fingerprint.
Mine's got a Touch ID too.
Sure does. Thanks. The Touch ID button is next to the touch bar, which enables fingerprint logging in to your... Wow, you got me all kinds of screwed up now. The Touch ID button is next to the touch bar, which lets you log into your MacBook with just a fingerprint, which is super useful. Much like the touch bar, the more I use it, the more I enjoy using it, and is, again, one of my favorite features. The Touch ID button also doubles as a physical interface to the laptop itself, so in the event that the MacBook crashes, you still have some way to kind of get into the diagnostic screens to be able to figure out what's going on and perform some kind of basic troubleshooting there. The display itself is still the 15.4-inch IPS display. It's the Retina display like MacBooks pretty much always have, with a native resolution of 2880 by 1800, which is a 16 by 10 display.
That sounds like my 2016.
Yes, it's a lot like the 2016. It still has its usual tricks like the P3 wide color gamut support at about 500 nits of brightness and 220 pixels per inch, so it's a super dense display, which really makes anything that you put up on display just absolutely pop. Much like the 2016, it is a gorgeous display. Connectivity-wise, it's going to have 4 Thunderbolt 3 ports on it, 2 on the left side, 2 on the right side. On the right-hand side, there is also a 3.5mm headphone port, which is weird that they include that at this point in time, given that they just announced the iPhone 8, and they also didn't include a headphone port in there. So it's kind of strange that they continue to go with USB Type-C and Thunderbolt 3 connectivity and a headphone jack on their laptops, but they don't have any of that connectivity on their phones, which you would probably have both of those devices connected together. The Thunderbolt 3 ports still support USB 3.1 Gen 2. Also supports, of course, the Thunderbolt 3 protocol, which will let you transfer speeds up to 40 gigabits per second. If any of this is confusing to you, I totally understand it. However, I got you covered. Check out this video up here, and you'll be able to find, I don't even know if I pointed the right way. Covers kind of some of the basic differences between Thunderbolt 3 and USB. I don't dig super deep into the details, but I think it is kind of important to understand at least some of the superficial differences between Thunderbolt 3 and USB Type-C or USB 3.1. So because of the fact that they're still so reliant on Thunderbolt 3, we're still kind of trapped in dongle hell. you're going to be buying a ton of dongles, and they're all pretty expensive. The 76 watt-hour lithium polymer battery is good for about 10 hours worth of internet surfing or about 30 hours of standby, and is rechargeable via an 87 watt wall charger that's connected via USB Type-C.
It sounded like you just described my 2016.
Sure did, Scott. So if you really want to know what the differences are, the 2017, this specific one that I'm holding in my hand, features a 7th generation Intel Kaby Lake Core i7 7820HQ quad core running at 2.9 gigahertz or turbos up to 3.2 gigahertz. Has 16 gigs of LPDDR3, which is rated at 2133 megahertz. I really wish that they would have gone up to 32 gigs. That would make the 2017 an absolute slam dunk and sure would provide a feature difference between the 2016 and the 2017. However, the 16 gigs is kind of a hard limit of the LPDDR3, which is super duper unfortunate. Also features a 512 gigabyte hard drive and an Intel HD Graphics 630, as well as a standalone Radeon Pro 560, which features 4 gigabytes of GDDR5. Now, because Scott doesn't understand the differences that I'm talking about, next week I'm going to come back with a detailed performance review of the real differences between the 2016 and the 2017 so that we can talk about whether or not the 2017 is actually worth the extra $1,000. All right, that's it for this week. Thank you all for stopping by. Please don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. We really appreciate every one of you. And if you like what you see, definitely leave a comment below, and I will catch you guys next time.